Hello everyone, welcome to another video lecture in art appreciation. This time my talk is on Introduction to Sculpture. Before we proceed to more details about this topic, let us first get to know the definition of sculpture. Sculpture is the art of forming solid objects that represent a thing, person, idea out of a material such as wood, clay, metal, or stone, or an object made in this way. So when we talk about sculpture, then basically you have to choose the best material that you could have in order for you to represent the object or the reality that you want to project in your sculpture. So there are two processes of sculpture. The first one is subtraction. Here, the artist uses chisels, hammers, and other tools, for example, in stone sculpture. So one good example for subtraction as a process is when you already have the material there, and then you subtract, okay, you subtract parts of it, you subtract elements in it so that you could form the thing that you want to form out of your sculpture. So here, materials such as chisels and hammers are used by the sculptor. And the second one, we have addition, just the opposite of subtraction, that instead of getting some elements out of the main material here, you formulate a new material out of different materials. So here you put together the bits of clay, or for example, you weld together the metal parts. So if you could see here, we have two examples of sculptures here. This one is this stone sculpture, and then this one is the clay sculpture. So the putting up of clay or clay materials. And then we also have different classifications of sculptures according to materials and methods of treatment. So it depends if it is stone, wood, metal, repoussé, clay, ivory, and glyptic. So let's begin with the common one, the stone sculpture. This is a sculpture in a restricted sense, which for its noblest and most excellent works made use of marble. So when you say stone sculpture, the very common, yet the most difficult material to be used is marble. Marble because it has a different effect once it's finalized or done already, and it has that shiny feature which gives a smooth texture to the sculpture, unlike with other stone materials that you can use for sculpture. But it depends also on the quality of the stone that you will be choosing in order for you to best deliver the image or the representation you want to project, you want your sculpture to project. So this is an example of a stone sculpture by jade sculpture, a Mandarin duck with scrolls. And then we also have the common one, which is wood sculpture. This flourished in the Middle Ages, encasing the carved work with cloth covered with chalk in order to facilitate polychromy, or the presence of many colors or several colors. So one best example for a wood sculpture is Pieta, the Mother and Child or Mother and Son by Michelangelo. So this one is housed in St. Peter's Basilica in the Vatican City. Third type of sculpture is the metal sculpture. This is the most lasting work because it is made out of metal, which could definitely still remain of good quality despite the passing of time. So this is the oldest metal sculpture pieces are made out of copper alloys and bronze. So one good example for this is this sculpture by Eugene Alexandrovich Lanceray. And then we also have the repoussé sculpture. It refers to a metal working technique in which malleable metal is beaten into form by hammer and puncheon, another tool that we use for us to make a metal more malleable. This is used for smaller subjects only. So when you say repoussé sculpture, meaning you have there a piece of metal and then you hammer it until you form it based on your intended image or figure of the sculpture. So one good example for this is the Silver Mask by Gerard Herbst. And then we also have the clay sculpture. This is a sculpture produced by molding, of course, the use of terracotta is the most common one. And the clay is molded in a soft substance and it hardens either by firing or drying. So terracotta could be a glazed or unglazed fired clay. So one good example for this is the statuette. By the way, terracotta is primarily used when making small sculptures or the statuette. So this one embodies the knock culture of Nigeria. And then we also have the sculpture in ivory. This is the carving of ivory, generally by using sharp cutting tools. This is often used for small proportions only. Usually, it's just for small images, okay, because this one is very delicate. The material that is used in ivory sculpture is delicate. So, this is an example of a sculpture in ivory. And then we also have the glyptic one. So the art of cutting gems, example, engraving of medals, coins, and seals, which have a cultural importance rather than an artistic and aesthetic importance. So for example, if it has something to do with jewelry, okay, how jewelries are made is also part of sculpture, specifically glyptic sculpture. And then this time, let's rediscover the roots of Philippine sculpture. I will introduce you to some of the famous sculptors in the Philippines and their works. So one or first in the list is Isabelo Tampico y Lacandola. He is considered to be the greatest Filipino sculptor of the 19th century. Now, to know more about his his biography and his works, you may visit this link, and one of his best works is this three-seater setter, Nara, made out of Nara and rattan. So this is an example of a wood sculpture. Okay, this was done in 1909. And then second in the list, we have Guillermo Tolentino. Of course, who doesn't know Guillermo Tolentino? Being considered as the father of Philippine arts because of his great works like the famous Bonifacio Monument. So to know more about Guillermo Tolentino, you may visit this link. So as mentioned, one of the famous works of Guillermo Tolentino is this Bonifacio Monument, which has become a significant spot already in Metro Manila. And then we also have Eduardo Castrillo. In the 1970s, he was generally considered the most avant-garde sculptor. So when you say avant-garde, meaning he is an intelligentsia, someone who innovates things. And he was, in fact, labeled by a publication as the phenomenon of Philippine art. And one of his best works is the People Power Monument. So see, if you check on this one, basically you would really be amazed by the different elements used to portray such a wonderful reality. And then, of course, we have Napoleon Abueva. In 1976, he was proclaimed as National Artist of the Philippines for Visual Arts by then President Ferdinand Marcos. And one of his important works is Siyam na Diwata ng Sining. So those are just few of the renowned sculptors in the Philippines. Now, if we revisit Davao sculpture, then we also have Kublai Khan. Okay, we have Kublai Milan here, who actually was able to introduce important sculptures in the Davao City, such as the sculptures in People's Park here in Davao City. Across the Philippines, we also have many sculptures that we Filipinos take pride of. Now, one good thing about knowing sculptures is that these sculptures actually represent a part of our history. They represent also the Filipino culture and heritage. And so, just like the different architectural structures that we have, and as well as the paintings, sculptures also play a pivotal role in representing or projecting Philippine culture and heritage. So, basically, that's just it, the introduction to the basic concepts of sculpture. Now, if you have any questions or clarifications about this brief discussion, you may post them on the open forum. Thank you very much.